So, first, I'm going to say that I never used to study. I went through all of high school basically not studying at all. Um, it was high school, so I didn't really have to. And then I got to my first year of college, and I was like, wow, okay, how do I study? How do I take notes? This is very different than high school. And it took me a few years to develop a style of organizing and working and studying that worked for me. So you kind of have to just figure out what works for you. Um, Basically, start out being extremely organized. A lot of teachers will give you a syllabus or an entire activities and assignment guide in the very beginning of the semester. So I bought a planner, and yes, I'm 23 years old, and there's cute little puppies on it. And this has been I would not have been able to do so well if I didn't have this. And this has been my first year using it. So I basically just use the calendar feature. I don't really use the notes section too much. So this is like the inside of my calendar. So in the beginning of the semester, I'll go through the syllabus and I'll write down when we have a test, when we have a paper due, when we have any small assignment. And then I write down my other stuff, like when I have to work because I'm working, and if I have an appointment or a doctor's appointment, or when I have to take my medicine or anything. And it's all on here. So that's helped me a lot, and I just look at this all the time and make sure that I'm giving myself enough time to plan, and this lets you like visualize when something's due and how many days do I have in order to do it, and do I have to be doing something else in between that time. And this is just a really good visualization for that, and this is like number one. I think you should get something like this in order to help you to organize, and that's helped me a lot. And so you can fill in basically every assignment, so you don't have to keep going back and forth and looking at your syllabus and stressing out about if you're going to forget something or anything. Second is take really good notes starting from the beginning of your classes. Like if you don't start out on a good foot, it's going to be really hard to get back into it. So I started out my semester, I cleared out all of my books and my binders, and I got all of my supplies ready, and I cleaned my room, and I cleaned my car. I like vacuumed my car, and I just got everything ready because I didn't want anything to throw me off. And I'm the type of person where if I have one small setback, or I don't go to class one day and I forget notes, it'll just throw me off for the rest of the semester. So I wanted to develop good habits early on, and that will help you when it comes time for finals, because if you're organized throughout the whole semester and you keep all of your notes organized and you are just like taking good notes and you have everything where you need it, when it comes time for finals, you're going to be in such a better place because you're going to have everything right there, and it's going to be so much easier to study. I'm not the type of person that can just sit down and study for a long period of time. I usually don't study that much, even in nursing school. I'm not very good at studying, so I found that if I just watch the PowerPoints and type up my notes, that helps me a lot, and then I can have everything organized. So this is my binder for one of my classes. I only have it for the one class because it's my biggest class, and I want to be able to save this because we're learning about, this is stuff that I'm going to use in my career, and maybe I can look back at this and help me. So before a test, we have 4 tests and then 1 final. Before each test, I like to give myself a couple of days before the test so that I'm not just super stressed, because if I wait until the last minute, which I've always done, I just won't study, and I just won't do it. And so if I just say, like, just sit down for 30 minutes and start, then it'll motivate me to keep going. And then once you've already started, you have to just force yourself to just sit down and start. And then once you do that, it becomes so much easier. So a lot of what I've learned is that I just need to push myself in order to start. So I sit down before a test and I go through all of the PowerPoints and I type them up in a really organized and also visually appealing way so that it's easy for me to read and it's not just bullet points in all black. I use colors, so I'm going to try and show you this. This is my binder, and so this is my binder for the class. So I have study guide 1, and this is not really a study guide, it's basically just my notes for the class typed up, and I make it visually easy to read, and I use different colors, and it makes it more fun to read, better than just staring at like an ugly piece of paper, and it kind of separates it more, and I feel like it makes it stick in your mind a little bit better. So I printed everything out after each test, and I made sure that I finished it, and then I put it in these sheet protectors and I put it into a binder. And I made these tables if there's stuff I have to remember, and everything like that. Do a little bit each day. Just force yourself to wake up early and clean up your room, shower, get everything nice and clean so that you're motivated to sit down and do your work, and just do a little bit each day instead of waiting until the last minute before a test, because you'll end up being more motivated to keep going just by sitting down and starting. And the next day you'll be more motivated because you'll know that you're not totally behind. You already did a little bit of studying. If you're taking a class that's writing intensive, or you're just writing a lot of papers and you have a lot of readings or articles that you have to read, I suggest doing the binder, and every article that you have to read, print it out at your school library instead of wasting your own ink, and keep it in a binder and label it week 1, week 2, week 3, because I had a class like that, and at the end of the semester we had to write a summary paper, and I wish that I kept organizing. I did it for about 4 weeks, and I had all of my articles, and I had notes for each of them in the margins, and I had everything laid out perfectly. And then I stopped because I was like, who cares? And I gave up for the semester, and then it came time for a summary paper, and I was like, another tip is to make friends, which I'm not good at doing. And for the long time that I've been in school, I didn't really make many friends, and I just went to class and I did my own thing and I did well and it was fine. And now, being in a program that's so intensive that I'm in now, I made a couple of good friends, and studying with them has been really great. And being able to text each other and say, what's due, like, are we sure we did this right? Or, they'll remind you to hand in a paper. It really helps. So it can be very hard to step out of your comfort zone and meet new people, but everyone's kind of in the same place and you can only use each other's help. So studying with friends can be good. It can also be not so good if you have a really big group and it ends up that you're all on a different page and you're not really utilizing your time properly. But if you can get 1 or 2 people that you can sit down and really go over everything with, and you bring different things to the table, and maybe one person can explain this, and maybe someone took notes on this that you missed or something, can really help you. Another tip would be keeping your space clean where you work. If you have a desk at home, if you don't have a good place at home to do work, go to your school library or go to your town library if you don't live at school or if you don't live close to school. Go to the library at your town. It clears your head. It's better to, leave everything at home so you don't have to have distractions. Um, I've been trying really hard to keep my room clean so that I come home and can actually sit down and do work. Sometimes it's hard for me to sit down and do work if I have a mess around. So just keeping everything organized just helps to like clear your head and allows you to focus more on school. Try to limit the amount of procrastinating that you do. Turn off your phone. I have yet to master that, but you can delete the Tumblr app or delete the Instagram app or Twitter app while you're trying to study just for that day or two. And you'd be amazed how much you can actually focus more when you're not constantly going on your phone. That is a big one for me. Turn your phone on airplane mode just for 30 minutes at a time. Turn it on airplane mode for 30 minutes and then turn it back on, answer your text messages, check your social media if you need to, and take a break, do some stretches, get some water, and then turn it back on airplane mode, do another 30 minutes. Go outside, take a walk, and then come back and do another 30 minutes. And if you're doing it every day, if you're looking over your notes every day after class, or like even just once a week after class, or whenever you can, you're going to be better off at the end of the semester, and you're going to be able to not be stressing about all your finals because you know that you know this stuff and that you have everything you need to study and you have the tools that you need. Hey. Oh, hi.